Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, going to talk about energy, the energy bodies, understanding Qi, life force, understanding the chakras. Kind of want to go over all those things with you guys because many of you out there have, some knowledge of how the energy bodies work, some knowledge of Qi. Many of you out there have a very expansive knowledge on this. So this will be sort of a primer, as well as maybe getting you ready for a more in-depth look into exactly how the body works energetically. And so we'll start here. And this little article is Qi, Health, and Martial Arts. And so it's done from a martial arts point of view, but there's a lot of just good basic stuff to touch on here. First, let us define Qi. The original meaning of the Chinese word Qi is universal energy. Every type of energy in the universe is basically Qi. When the term was later applied to the human body, it meant the energy which the body maintains or circulates. And in the last 20 years, a clearer theoretical definition of Qi circulating in the human body has arisen: bioelectromagnetic energy. And according to this model, all other types of bodily energies, such as heat or light, result from the transformation of this bioelectric magnetic energy. And in Chinese cosmology, Qi is the original energy source which keeps the entire universe alive. And it's always hit me that that's the one piece to the puzzle that has always evaded the Western mind, is the fact of the life force. And really, it's been so well explained, really, in Star Wars, which, George Lucas got the whole idea from the Eastern arts here. And thankfully, it's brought the idea of Qi to the Western mind and Western society. So Qi is what keeps the entire universe alive. It's the same in the body, where Qi keeps the cells alive and keeps the physical body functioning. Your body is, well, according to this article, like a mechanical electric fan which needs electricity to make it turn somewhat. If the electric circulation is insufficient, the fan will not work properly. Similarly, if your Qi supply in your body is insufficient or stagnant, you will become sick or even die. That's very true. In Chinese QiGong and medicine, Qi is classified as yin, and yin is the feminine or the negative or the receptive because it can only be felt, while the physical body is classified as yang, or the masculine, the positive, because it can be seen. Yin is the root and source of the life which animates the yang body, the physical body, and manifests power or strength externally. When Qi is strong, the physical body can function properly and be healthy, and it can manifest a lot of power or strength. In order to have a healthy and strong body, you must learn how to keep the Qi circulating smoothly in your body, and how to build up an abundant store of Qi. In order to reach these goals, you must understand the Qi circulatory and storage systems of your body. In your body, there are 12 primary Qi channels which function like rivers and distribute the Qi through the body. There are also 8 extraordinary Qi vessels which function like reservoirs, storing and regulating this Qi. One end of each channel is connected to one of the 12 internal organs, while the other end is connected to either a finger or a toe. These 12 Qi channels lead Qi to the 12 organs to nourish them and keep them functioning properly. The 12 channels also lead any excess Qi back in the internal organs to the limbs, and then finally release it outside of your body. This is one of the primary methods of releasing excess Qi from the body's organs. Whenever the Qi level circulating in the channels is abnormal due to stagnation or sickness, one or several of the organs will not receive the proper amount of Qi nourishment and will tend to malfunction. And so here on figure 1.1, you see Laogung, which is basically, this is on healers. This is what we use to transfer the energy primarily through. And so this is a chakra right here in the middle of your palm. But there's also chakras on the tips of every finger as well. And when we're doing energy work, we'll transfer through the palm. But many times we'll also use the fingers as well, because they could deliver a more precise flow of energy, as opposed to Laogung, which is in the center of the palm, which is more diffuse. The Yongquan, which is also the K1 point, the first point in the kidney meridians, is on here, figure 1-2. Just past the ball of the foot right in the middle. This is your main contact point with earth energy, and this is what these are also called your bubbling wells or bubbling springs in medical QiGong. And this is the main point at which we draw earth energy up into the body. There are different types of qi, different types of energy. You could break it down to basically earthly and heavenly qi. Whereas the qi from the earth will primarily come through the K1 point, also known as Yongquan or bubbling wells. The heavenly energy will come down through the crown chakra, and we're going to get into that too. So the 8 vessels, these are the extraordinary vessels, include 4 in the body and 4 in the legs. These vessels store qi and are able to regulate the qi flow in the 12 qi channels. In addition, there are 5 major gates through which the qi in the body communicates with the qi in the surrounding environment, and further helps to regulate the body. The main gate is the head, and that's up at the crown chakra point. There are 4 secondary gates, a Laogun cavity in the center of each palm, and then also the Yongquan in the feet. So when we breathe through these 5 gates, that is called 5-gate breathing, and it's a very, very powerful technique for either building or dispelling energy. And as we get more skilled with the ability to transfer and move energy, we can open and close the gates at will. And also we could basically either siphon off, or we could send energy in through any one of the gates at any time. Also, the tips of the fingers and toes are considered lesser gates and help with the regulation of qi. Finally, there are thousands of pores all over the whole of your body that are considered small gates, which constantly regulate the body's qi and therefore adjust the body's yin and yang. It's all about balance and harmony. That is really it. It's all about balance and harmony. So when you are breathing through all those pores, then that is called pore breathing. And there you're consciously taking in energy through every pore in the body. And that's an extremely powerful technique for basically regulating your own health. And that was my primary practice when I was laid up in bed with 2 ruptured discs and really couldn't do much. And it took no time for me to feel really vibrant again. In order to be healthy and slow down the aging process, you must learn to keep the qi circulating smoothly in the 12 channels. And so you must learn how to fill up the qi reservoirs so they can efficiently regulate the qi flow. You must also understand how your body's qi communicates with the qi around you so you can adapt to natural conditions. If you understand qi circulation theory for the human body, you will then be able to understand how qi relates to the martial arts. Remember that the human body is not merely a machine like the aforementioned electrical fan. It is alive and able to improve itself. When your qi grows stronger, your physical body will also grow stronger. When you build up your qi to a strong level, your organs and physical body will receive more nourishment and their condition will improve and you will get stronger. So to make this clearer, remember that parts of your body, such as the limbs, are governed by your conscious mind. The governing process is very simple. Your mind generates an idea. This thought leads the qi to the appropriate muscles, energizing them to perform the desired action. The key to martial QiGong training is learning to lead your qi more efficiently so that you can manifest more power. This theory holds that people normally only use their muscles at no more than 40 to 50% of their maximum capacity. This is simply because you don't need any more for your daily activities. The result is that your mind has never been trained to lead the qi as efficiently as possible. And so it has other benefits besides the martial, and we're going to focus more on the health benefits as well. And so the body, the physical body, if you can envision this, this is like the Russian dolls, where you have one inside the other inside the other. So the physical body is only the innermost layer. It's the densest and heaviest layer of the body. As you can see, there are many other layers. There's the etheric body, the emotional body, the mental body, the astral body. You have the etheric template, which is basically, that's the blueprint from which your body is constructed. It's the actual blueprint, and that exists before your body even starts to divide. even before the cells are starting to divide. The celestial body, the Catholic body, and then there's many other spiritual bodies that go out from there, as you can see. And our ability to sense these bodies is increasing because of the cosmic rays that are coming in and hitting us due to the decrease in the magnetosphere from the grand solar minimum, which is being caused by the sun losing power and going down in power. So all this is triggering an evolution in us, and all this is triggering a DNA response. So as you can see, each one of these bodies, you could think of it as if they are all operating in slightly different dimensions. And this is how we get the saying that man is a multidimensional being, because we are. We operate on many different dimensions. Primarily in this time period that we've been operating on the third and fourth density, third and fourth dimension. The fourth is the astral world. It's where we are when we sleep. And really, that is more home than where we are when we're awake, because that's basically where we return to upon passing, and we'll get into that in deeper levels and subsequent videos. But yet, really, as has been said, we're more awake when we're sleeping than when we are awake, in many senses of the word. And so when you go into meditation, you could even go beyond that particular dimension and world. You could go much farther out. And so we are heading up, in many thoughts, we are heading up into a fifth dimensional existence that's going to be past where we are now. But in many philosophies, we're taking our bodies with us instead of shedding the bodies. Now, some believe that ascension will necessitate the dropping of the third dimensional body. And others believe not necessarily the case, it's just the vibrations quicken. Because everything is vibration and frequency. So the vibrations quicken, and it'll be just like what's said in the rapture, where two will be in the field and one will be gone. Because the other one is basically vibrated up and out of that one person who's still in the 3D, out of their perception. They don't have the ability to perceive on that higher level. Whereas to the person that has vibrated up and out, they're going to still feel kind of normal. They're just going to feel very good. But they will still be basically where they were in their own mind, although perhaps they will, perhaps they won't see the people in the lower dimension. So there's a lot to this. There's a lot to this, and it's actually all really scientific. It's not woo-woo. It's been accepted for thousands of years. Medical QiGong goes back at least 5,000 years, and it probably ties back to previous civilizations that have existed on the planet. And so we can see the many different layers to the aura as we go on out. And so as we shift our consciousness outward, we're able to perceive new realities and new things. And really, this is all you. This is all you. All these bodies are you. Yet you're operating primarily here in the densest, heaviest one most of the time. And when you sleep, you move out one notch and then come back. In meditation, we could train ourselves to move out several notches and come back out, come back in. So we train ourselves to perceive the other dimensions that we really are existing in anyway. We're just not fully consciously aware of them. So when you're looking at what a healthy energy body would look like, if you could perceive the energies, which many of you can, you'll see clear, vivid colors, vibrant, rainbow hues, and flowing strong lines that are non-distorted. If you look at somebody that is not healthy, you will see very much the opposite. Muddy, dull colors, an abundance of these bland, dull colors, and blues and greens and browns and sometimes even blacks. Bulges in some spots, areas going in, very, very ragged, and very, very broken. They won't have strong, healthy energy rays. And this is something that, as we go through ascension, everybody will at some point start to see. Everybody that is going through ascension. So many people are familiar with the 7 major chakras of the Indian or the Vedic system. And so you have the root chakra, and the color is red. It's at the tailbone, base of the spine. What does it do? Well, as far as the physical body, it governs the spine, the bladder, blood, kidneys, male reproductive organs, the vagina, the legs, and the feet. And then basically, if it's balanced, you're grounded, you're centered, you belong in this world, you're trusting, independent, alive, and you're very poised. If it's overactive, you could end up being domineering and bossy, have a huge ego, be very greedy, violent, and cunning. If it's underactive, you will feel unloved, sexually inadequate, frustrated, fearful, shy, and unsure. And you will also basically have very low energy. You'll be very sleepy, very tired, very apathetic, not a lot of passion for life as well. So you'll see that each one of these chakras kind of bleeds into the one above it or next to it in case of, you know, when there's chakras on both sides. And so the sacral chakra is orange. It's in the lower abdomen. It's usually about 2 inches below the belly button. Has to do with lymphatic and circulatory system, kidneys, adrenals, skin, female reproductive organs. If it's balanced, you're friendly, passionate, sexually fulfilled, good mood, playful, flirty. If it's overactive, you need power, you're manipulating, you're craving and lusting. If it's underactive, you're very shy, guilty, afraid to interact, lost, overly concerned about what others think, not willing to open up, especially in a romantic, passionate way, in a physical way. So you could be very withdrawn in that way as well. The solar plexus chakra is yellow. It's between the sternum and the navel, and that is basically your I am center. That's your center of being in this life. It governs the nervous system, stomach, gallbladder, large intestine, liver, and pancreas. If it's balanced, you have respect for others and also for yourself. You're confident, outgoing, problem-solving, calm, and you have integrity. If it's overactive, you're very judgmental, you're very stubborn, critical, and a bully. And if you're underactive, you have very low self-esteem, you're apathetic, procrastinating, you feel like you're always getting taken advantage of, and you don't know what to do. You feel very lost. So the heart chakra is green, and that's right where the heart is. It governs the circulatory system, including the heart, respiratory system, arms, hands, shoulders, ribs, breasts, diaphragm, and the thymus. If you're balanced, you feel loved, and you are loving, you're very empathetic, and you have a contagiously good vibe. Overactive, then you have a sense of entitlement, jealousy, blaming others, also giving too much. Underactive, unloved, self-pity, fear of rejection, neediness, clinginess, clinging on, and uncertainty. The throat chakra is a sky blue. That's the base of the throat. That's your communication center. Has all to do with basically speaking your truth. Governs the thyroid gland, the larynx, the trachea, ears, nose, teeth, mouth, throat, carotid, arteries. If it's balanced, you can express yourself well, speak your own truth, you're very creative. If it's overactive, you speak too much, you bore others, you're seen as criticizing and stubborn. If it's underactive, you can't express yourself, you're afraid to speak in public, you cannot express the creative side, you're seen as timid and dependent. And so if you have a goiter, if you have Hashimoto's, things like that, then you're suffering from an underactive throat chakra. The brow chakra, the third eye chakra, it's an indigo color, and it's above the eyes, center of the forehead. It governs the pineal gland, so that's melatonin, serotonin production, the feel-good chemicals, helps with the sleep cycle. Also the eyes, nose, ears, and skeletal system. When it's balanced, you're very intuitive, charismatic. You can meditate, you know your purpose, you're seen as wise. If it's overactive, you tend to space out, you're lost, you worry a lot, you're seen as living in a fantasy world. If it's underactive, you can't see the bigger picture, you can be easily influenced, you're confused about your purpose, and you doubt yourself often. So, the crown chakra, that's a violet color, it's on the top of the head. Associated organs are the brain, the nervous system, the master gland, the apophis, the pituitary. If it's balanced, you have joy, you're connected to the source. While you're aware of your own individuality, you're wise and compassionate. Overactive, then you're addicted to spirituality and perhaps even detest the physical. Craving attention, needing to be popular, over erotic imagination. Underactive, misunderstood, can't have fun, unaware or denying of one's spiritual connection. And there are literally hundreds of chakras throughout the body as well. And if we're going to get into healing and working on others, then there are other ones that are very important as well to take into consideration. And one of them is the Meng Men, which is right here, as well as the navel chakra. And this is a pretty good depiction of what a chakra looks like, because they really do look like little vortices. They look like hurricanes, cyclones, tornadoes. That's exactly what they look like. And through the center of the body is something called the Taiji pole. And that runs straight through the center of the body. You see most of the chakras are front and back chakras, except for the crown chakra and the root chakra, which basically they're just one-ended. And so this is a good depiction of what they look like for you. Now, chakras have associated sounds, and there's many other ways of looking at them. These are the bija sounds. So when we go with the Muladhara, which is the root, it's Lam, and then going upwards, you go to sacral, Vam, solar plex, Ram, heart, Hum, and then throat chakra, Yam, and then Om is both of the other ones, really. So those sounds will help to open up those chakras. And I do have a video on that as well, doing that and actually going through the sounds. And there's also stones associated with them, as you can see here. And I'll have this chart for you guys to refer to as well. You know, rose quartz, obviously, for the heart chakra. There's several different ones like ruby for the root. Hematite as well, and hematite, you know, is good for a blood purifier and also negativity, warding off negativity. And you know, there's other ones here for you guys to look at as well. So I'll have this for you. And so the other thing to really concern ourselves with are the Dantiens. And Dantiens, they're also reservoirs of energy. And the primary one that we hear referred to all the time is the lower Dantien. And that is your center of gravity in the body as well. So when we're doing martial arts, your punches and everything come through and from the lower Dantien. And, you know, there are what's referred to as the 3 jewels as well, which we're going to get into as well, which correspond to the Dantiens. So we have 3 Dantiens. Lower Dantien, again, about 2 inches below the navel. Middle Dantien will be a guy right in line with the nipples. It's basically on the sternum, just above the xiphoid process. And then the upper Dantien, which is actually at the intersection of the crown chakra coming into the body and the third eye chakra going in. It's right at the pineal gland. And the 8 extraordinary meridians, this is a chart showing them. The 2 to concern us with the most are what we call the Dumai and the Renmai. And the Du and the Ren are also known as the governing vessel, which the governing runs up the spine, and then the conception runs down, basically from the tip of the tongue down and wraps around the perineum. So the Du and the Ren are the 2 that we concern ourselves with the most, because they're the ones that when your tongue is to the roof of your mouth, right behind your 2 front teeth, put the tip of the tongue right there, then you connect those 2 channels, and those 2 channels become the microcosmic orbit together. And the microcosmic orbit pumps the life force out into the 12 primary vessels. And so we have the 12 primary vessels, or the 12 primary meridians. The lung meridian, the pericardium meridian, the heart meridian, colon meridian, triple warmer, intestine, urinary bladder, stomach, liver, spleen, kidney, and gallbladder. And again, one end is either going to a toe or a finger, and some actually share digits as well as far as origin points. And then they always end up going into the corresponding organ system. And some, like the triple warmer, is really not a physical organ. So that is something that's out of Chinese medicine, and it has to do with metabolism. And so that'll be for a later video. And so this is Master Mantak Chia, and he's sitting and circulating the microcosmic orbit. Although this is not so clearly showing the microcosmic orbit. But this is what it feels like too. So you'll feel the swirling and spiraling of the energy below the K1 point and also at the crown chakra. And so we're drawing the energy both from the heavens, the heavenly chi, and the earthly chi up into our body, and we're circulating it through. Such a powerful practice with tremendous health benefits. And again, it's imperative to put the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth, right behind the two front teeth when we're circulating. And so this is again a look at the microcosmic orbit. So we have the Dumai, which is the governing vessel, and it runs up here, up through the spine, comes around the crown, and ends at the palate, the soft palate right behind the two front teeth. And then the Renmai, the conception vessel, starts there at the tip of the tongue and then runs down the front of the body. And so when the tongue is connected and you're consciously circulating it with your mind, you will be circulating the microcosmic orbit. And so you could be increasing the energy that is flowing out into the 12 primary meridians, thus nourishing all the organ systems and giving you better, more abundant health. And so this is a critical thing. The Bahui point is at the soft point in the skull. So where a baby has a soft point at the top of the skull, that's the Bahui point. And then we have down at the counterpoint the Huyin, which is basically right at the perineum. And when we're doing this, we're gently pulling up and in the Huyin to basically alleviate any leakage of qi at the convergence point of the Du and the Ren. And so, when we're looking at the three Dantiens, the lower Dantien controls the transformation of Jing to Qi. And the middle Dantien controls the transformation of Qi to Shen. The upper Dantien controls the transformation of Shen to Wuji. And so these are the three treasures. And the three treasures, the three jewels of basically medical QiGong and Taoist philosophy are Jing, and Jing translates to essence, and then Qi, which, now there's many different forms of Qi, but the Qi we're talking about here is a little more refined Qi, and then Shen is spirit. Now Wuji is back to the original state, and Wuji is the void. Wuji is beyond manifestation. So Wuji is not of this realm at all. It's not of this 3D reality that we know at all. And so, this is a big cycle that we have here. And here's another way to think about this. So this is the candle analogy, and we'll start at the bottom. Jing. Now Jing is represented by the wax and the wick of the candle. The quality of the wax and the reserve of the wax available for burning determines the life of the candle. Your Jing, which is determined by your genetic inheritance, so that's what we get from our parents, and that's stored in our kidneys. And your deep energy reserves determines your longevity. It takes a long time, hopefully, to deplete Jing, and it is extremely hard to replenish. So you must guard your Jing. And so that's why in Taoist philosophy, there is a direct correspondence in a male situation with the amount of times that male can ejaculate and still stay healthy. Because every time a male ejaculates, he loses Jing. So if a male is overactive sexually, he will basically be depleting his life force and aging himself prematurely. Now there are ways around that. And this next time we're going to go up into Qi here. So these things move upward. So Jing moves upwards to Qi, moves upwards to Shen. Now Qi is represented by the flame of the candle. It can sputter and smoke, or it can burn brightly and evenly. Your Qi is your vitality and your daily energy. It provides the source of light. However, it can eventually consume the candle. When your qi is used efficiently, your jing lasts longer. Qi is easily depleted through daily activity, and when a person is healthy, it's also easily replenished with sleep, nourishment, and breathing. Now, Shen is represented by the light that radiates from the burning candle. The purpose of the candle is to light the darkness. Your Shen is the radiance of your spirit. When Jing and Qi are in abundance, Shen is released. And so each is basically interconnected with the other and dependent upon the one below it. And that's very, very important to consider. So the 8 Immortals of Taoism. And Taoism is not a religion, it's a philosophy on life. And if you guys have ever seen the symbol of the Tao, which is the yin and the yang symbol, I know everybody has seen that in their life. Basically, that is expressing this reality, this universe. You know, how it's a dynamic between the yin and the yang, and the male and the female. That dynamic is what puts everything in motion. And then outside of that symbol is the Wuji, the void from which everything springs. So for devout Taoists, the central tenet of ancient Chinese practice of Taoism is the belief that adhering to certain beliefs and practices can lead to a very long life, even immortality. And the practice of QiGong and these energy practices can definitely help the ascension process and speed it along dramatically. So it's unknown just how many Taoist practitioners have achieved immortality. The founder of Taoism, Lao Tzu, is of course thought to be an immortal, as is his spiritual descendant, Zhuangzi. However, countless numbers of hermits and wandering Taoist sages, whose levels of realization were known only to themselves, may also be among the numbers of immortals. And there's legends of other immortals as well, such as Saint Germain, in case you guys haven't ever heard of Saint Germain, or Babaji, who is basically thought of in some circles to be still alive after thousands of years up in the Himalayas. So the religious tradition of Taoism venerates a group of 8 Jian, or immortals, who offer a concrete symbol of this ability to transcend the limitations of ordinary human life through the beliefs and practices of Taoism. Again, it's not a religion. You don't worship anything. It's a practice and a philosophy. They serve as mythological archetypes of immortality achieved through practice. Among the 8 immortals celebrated in Taoism, a number seem to have had actual historical existences. They are said to have been born in the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, or the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE, and were identified by Wuji. While some of the immortals were real people, the magical and mystical tales surrounding these practitioners make it impossible to distinguish historical from mythological reality. Whether they are regarded as historical, semi-historical, or legendary characters, the 8 immortals represent the powers that come with transcending the limits of ordinary human existence by means of practices. Their powers include the ability to transform into different creatures and objects, extraordinary bodies that do not age and which are capable of amazing physical action, skills for controlling people, animals, and objects through the control of qi, the gift of healing, and the ability to predict the future. Even for Taoists who do not believe in the literal existence of the 8 immortals and the powers they represent, these characters offer a source of inspiration, devotion, and even simple entertainment. The 8 immortals of Taoism can be interpreted in psychological, archetypal manner, much the way the characters of other ancient mythologies have come to symbolize human needs and wishes at a collective universal level. And this gets into the 8 immortals as well. And so I'll have this link for you guys as well, but it's just the fact of what can be achieved. And really, we will talk about, and I did do a video on the rainbow body of Tibetan Buddhism as well, which again points to the fact that humans can transcend even in these other ages, which weren't blessed with the energy flow that we're blessed with today, transcend so much of the aging and the deterioration of the body as we get older. And, I have seen some of the masters that I've had do amazing things at tremendous ages and also at tiny, tiny weights. My first master was maybe 105 pounds, a male, and probably about maybe 5 feet, 5'1". And I saw him send a guy into the wall that was about 6'3", 220, like nothing. And it wasn't his muscular force that did it. It really was understanding of the Qi and how the universe works. So the meaning of Wuji, the unmanifest aspect of the Tao, the Chinese word Wuji, refers to the unmanifest aspect of the Tao, Tao in stillness, in other words. Wuji is the undifferentiated timelessness, which the Taijutsu Shuo, which is a traditional Taoist diagram, is represented by an empty circle. In Taoist cosmology, Wuji refers to a state of non-distinction prior to the differentiation into the yin and yang that give birth to the 10,000 things. All the phenomena of the manifest world and their various qualities and behaviors. So, it's basically before coming into this 3D existence that we see, where you have that duality. It's prior to the duality. The Chinese character for Wuji is composed of two radicals, Wu and Ji. So Wu includes the meanings of without, no, none, or non. And then Ji includes the meanings limits, extremes, and ultimate extreme boundary. Wuji then can be translated as infinite, unlimited, boundless, or limitless. So Wuji and Taiji, what's the difference? Wuji can be contrasted with and is often confused with Taiji, while Wuji points to the Tao in stillness, which is essentially non-duality. Taiji refers to the Tao in motion. Taiji represents the spark of movement, the emergence, the oscillation of the vibratory modulation which allows the defined something of manifestation to be born of the infinite no-thing, of the Wuji. And those of you that have studied Gnosticism will recognize that this is the same exact philosophy as Gnosticism. And it's also the same exact philosophy when you get into even Buddhism and Hinduism at the highest levels. And so many, actually most of the world philosophies will agree with this. Wuji exists prior to all sets of opposites, in other words, before all yin-yang polarizations, including the opposition between movement and quiescence. So the Taiji is the one that contains the yin and the yang, or the three. This three is, in Taoist terms, the one, yang, plus the two, yin, or the three that gives life to all beings. The one that virtually contains the multiplicity. Thus the Wuji is the limitless void, whereas the Taiji is a limit in the sense that it is the beginning and the end of the world. A turning point. So when we're looking at that, then you have basically, if we go into Hebrew Kabbalah, we have Ein, Ein Sof, and Ein Sof Or. If we go into looking at Gnosticism, we have basically Source, and then we have Sophia, which is the female aspect that gives manifestation to the world. And we have the Demiurge, which is the god of this world. So we could see how this agrees with that. The Wuji is the mechanism of both movement and quiescence. So, in other terms, while the Taoists state that Taiji is metaphysically preceded by the Wuji, which is the Tao, the Neo-Confucians say that the Taiji is the Tao. So, hopefully you guys see how this is going. So, even beyond everything that is manifest is the unmanifest, and that's the Wuji. And so when we go back and we're looking here, so we have the Jing that transforms to Qi, and then the middle Dantien, the Qi transforms to Shen. And then in the upper Dantien, the Shen goes back into the source. It goes beyond the gates and into the void. So it's returning us to the highest levels. So ultimately, by practicing QiGong, you're basically practicing a practice that will lead to ascension and lead to an existence that's going to eventually merge you back with Source. And whether you call that Source Wuji or God or Source or whatever you want to call it, that is the heart of the practice. So as this is saying, the heart of Taoist cosmology then is cycling between the Tao in stillness and the Tao in movement, between the unmanifest Wuji and the manifest Taiji, with its dance of yin and yang. Polarized phenomenon unfold from Wuji and then return to it via the mechanism of Taiji. An important thing to keep in mind is that the manifest and unmanifest aspects of the Tao are valued equally. Neither is accorded privileged status. The return of the phenomena to Wuji, to the unmanifest, can be understood as being something akin to getting a good night's sleep. It's wonderful and nourishing, but to say that sleep is the ultimate goal or the final destination of your waking life would not be quite right. For a Taoist practitioner, the point is not to reject the phenomena of the world, but rather to understand them deeply, see them clearly, and embrace them with the utmost intimacy. The benefit of Taoist practice is that it facilitates a more or less continuous communion with the inherent power of Wuji through all phases of the cycle, in the presence as well as in the absence of phenomena. And so, this is verse 28 of the Tao Te Ching. Lao Tzu references Wuji, which is here translated. Hold your male side with your female side, hold your bright side with your dull side, hold your high side with your low side. Then you will be able to hold the whole world. When opposing forces unite within, there comes a power abundant in its giving, and unerring in its effect. Flowing through the everything, it returns one to the first breath. Guiding everything, it returns one to no limits. Embracing everything, it returns one to the uncarved block. When the block is divided, it becomes something useful, and leaders can rule with just a few pieces. But the sage holds the block complete, holding all things within himself. He preserves the great unity which cannot be ruled or divided. And so I hope that gives you a taste of Taoist philosophy, medical QiGong, and the energy body and how things work. And I'm sure that would generate a lot of thoughts, confusion, questions in some ways, and hopefully clarify many, many things. We'll do a lot more on this, and we'll delve into individual pieces in much greater detail in upcoming videos as well. So guys, if you did enjoy this, please do give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe. We're going to have a lot more along this lines, as long as along all the other lines of the things we do here at Evolutionary Energy Arts, and you're going to see some changes and upgrades, I think, as far as what's happening here. So do join the family, click the bell, get all the notifications, and share with as many people as possible so we can wake them up and get them prepared for the great transition that we're all going to go through, and we could do this together in a positive manner. So my friends, may you be blessed with abundant peace, love, health, well-being, and all good things. Namaste and God bless.